remember when I walked in, it was like coming home. It was one of the first museums where I had seen my experience reflected.
One of the things I really appreciate about the museum is its accessibility. It's a free museum, which is rare.
At the National Museum of Mexican Art, the museum is committed to extraordinary art, and the community is surrounding and informing it every day. And that is something that really speaks to my heart, because I think that art has to be for the people, of course, by the people and of the people. And to me, the National Museum of Mexican Art really lives those values.
Arte for All, uniting people from neighborhood to nation, encapsulates the National Museum of Mexican Art's vision for the future. Through this $20 million campaign, the museum will preserve, protect, and grow the permanent collection, deepen its programmatic outreach, like the Yollocalli Youth Outreach Initiative, and develop a strong virtual museum experience, as well as secure our financial future in sustaining a permanent endowment.
So when you have a first voice institution like the National Museum of Mexican Art, a community can feel part of that institution because their stories are being told, right? Their stories are being told from their perspective and often in their words and through their experiences.
Art is represented in our language, in our food, in our traditions, and we rely on those things to feel good about ourselves, to recognize who we are and to feel strong. I would say that the more we celebrate the multiculturality of those people who make the United States, better communities are created.
I think one of my favorite exhibits was an exhibit put together on the work of Nahui Olin, the Mexican contemporary Frida, a woman artist that most people don't know about. That exhibit was particularly meaningful for me. It's the one that I got on a plane in the morning and flew all the way from San Antonio, Texas, and then flew back in the evening because I had to do work the next day. But it was worth it.
I think the caliber of the exhibitions that the National Museum of Mexican Art creates and travels or disseminates, whether it's through catalogs or through actually traveling exhibitions, has impacted the way other museums do exhibitions.
I think one of the great features of the museum has been its hosting performances and lectures, by great artists. I have come here myself to hear Elena Poniatowska, and I look at the calendar and see who's performing. Astrid Haddad, one of great performance artists.
And as a traveling musician with Sones de Mexico, visiting Mexican communities around the country, I know very well that there aren't these types of support systems in other cities.
When I think about the educational impact of the National Museum of Mexican Art, I think about all of the people that it touches. I think about the faces of the children who come to the museum.
And this is why I feel that the arts or Yollocalli is important and necessary, because it's helping people from working class communities, from humble communities, to really take a leap, take a risk, and explore.
Well, I think the museum's important to educate other communities as to who we are and to our history and to the customs that are going to nourish their lives.
And the museum has made a lot of materials through its education department accessible and available to educators.
Well, I think the National Museum of Mexican Art I hope is forever a permanent entity that through art and all its programs, it's a community builder that builds these bridges and invite people to recognize the strength of Mexicans in the United States.
Funding the Arte for All campaign is very important, and I'm super excited about it because I know what it did for Solorio, for my school, and I know that through this program, they'd be able to help out so many other schools that are in need.
Because I think about my own experience with this museum and seeing the artists and the arts organizations and the cultural leaders that the National Museum of Mexican Art has incubated right here in Chicago. It's time, I think, to explode that, honestly, all over the nation. And I support that, and I hope to see that. I hope to see that in my own lifetime.
Join us, acompáñanos, as we expand access to Mexican culture locally, nationally, and internationally through our exhibits and programming, ensuring that the National Museum of Mexican Art continues to tell nuestras historias, our stories, for generations to come.